Even the birds know it. I'm just here to learn on sustenance. Many of my recent conversations with close friends have circled around sustenance, the uncertainties the current economy presents, the rising costs of eggs, the incredibly tough job market, and just general tensions in a more unpredictable world. Not like anything was ever predictable. In the corporate environment, these conversations have become even more scary. I currently work in IT and I've watched wave after wave of layoffs, and the tensions that are created in different technology spaces are surreal. And talking about surreal, it feels surreal to be able to feel in the air the thickness of uncertainty. And so, in reflecting on this while writing live on my garden bench, I watch as birds land on the feeders right beside me. They take a few bites, look around, then fly off again. None of them seems interested in building a warehouse of seed for emotional reassurance. None of them seem to linger with the haunted energy of, what if there's not enough tomorrow? Part of me finds this almost unreasonable. Like, if I were a bird, I would stay at the feeder until I physically could not eat anymore. I would gather extra seeds, create contingency plans, and then build tiny bird spreadsheets of all the locations with the bird seeds. I will pro in fact, I'll probably sell a course on how to be a seed millionaire. But what I'm seeing is quite different. They seem untouched by the psychological weight of future scarcity as they arrive tightly, or arrive lightly rather, and leave lightly. I'm so inspired by what nature presents. But before I go on, I'm extremely careful not to romanticize nature. I love to spell out the brutality that is the reality of nature. The same birds I'm watching now, quick at the feeder and unhurried in the trees, they are also haunted. Some go hungry, some that I see may not even survive the next winter. Some would have their nests ripped out. And then the truth is, nature has no shred of sentimentalism in it. See, I won't, I won't be using birds as proof that life is always materially comfortable and that nature naturally provides. That is simply not true if you pay close enough attention to life. However, might I attempt to shift us into a posture that reveals what wild birds could show us about life or show us toward life? We could hold that posture and superimpose it on our reality goggles. First, I want to lay out this posture. Birds wake into uncertainty every single day. They don't store narratives about tomorrow. Well, as far as we know. In fact, if we would call it singing, they sing before they would secure the outcome of the day. They participate in the world without the burden of carrying the world psychologically. Well, allegedly. So, in observance, using the wild bird as a reference point, there seems to be a difference between how they respond to uncertainty versus how we become internally consumed by uncertainty. No wonder the biblical framing ascribed to Jesus points towards contentment with today as opposed to the trying to figure out tomorrow. Even in that framing, the point was less nothing bad happens to birds, but more life is held by something larger than our anxious control. And that something is my incredible fascination. I want to add that being provided for may not be devoid of difficulty. Maybe we could look at it instead as participation in a living process. The birds search for food, they build nests, they migrate when needed. None of it is passive. And yet, they do not appear to psychologically collapse about the burdens of tomorrow, morose by the empty bird feeder at 9 8 4th to Gelbert Boulevard. This is what draws me to the old reflection about the birds of the air. And in quoting the this comes from the Christian scripture. It says, and I think this was Jesus talking, where he said, "Look at the birds of the air; they do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet they are well fed." Birds don't live easy lives, but they seem free from the kind of mental burden many of us carry every waking hour. You know that constant anticipation of future lack. Oh my gosh, I know it. In reflection, it's easy to see how birds illustrate a trust that doesn't have guarantees as part of the package. If anything, there's an asterisk that points to the fine print. Perhaps because they don't sit down to think about of investment while analyzing all of the risks they need to take. They seem to move around without relying on a complete map. There seems to be an enoughness in the present moment while instinctively participating in what is already available. This also includes flying away at the slight sight of harm. See, my fellow explorer, there's clearly an intelligence that moves through it. That intelligence is not like a cosmic vending machine the proponent of the law of attraction tout. Instead, it's more like an ongoing relationship with reality itself. Provision does not lift participation from our hands, it lifts the loneliness from our shoulders. Oh, the mirror I was given last week, the food bought me from Green Papaya, the giving that I am giving, the receiving that I receive, all of it is the participation in that living process. And so I sit, another bird lands, another bird leaves. The feeder lowers a little. The day keeps unfolding whether or not I authorize it. There's a kind of company in that, in noticing that life is already moving, already feeding, already singing long before I lift a finger of effort. Whatever this fascination is, it does not ask me to stop participating. It asks me to stop participating as one who is separate from all that is.